The Middle East, a region long accustomed to conflict, finds itself once again teetering on the brink. The air is thick with tension and the ground trembles under the weight of uncertainty. This is a land where history and modernity collide, where ancient rivalries are reignited with modern weaponry. A shadow war, simmering for years between Israel and Iran, has erupted into open missile exchanges. The skies light up with the fiery trails of missiles, and the nights are punctuated by the thunderous booms of explosions. This is not just a battle of weapons, but a clash of ideologies and national pride. The catalyst remains shrouded in the region's complex geopolitics, a tangled web of alliances and ancient grievances. Diplomatic efforts are ongoing, but the path to peace is fraught with obstacles. Leaders from various nations engage in tense discussions, each trying to navigate the treacherous waters of Middle Eastern politics. What is clear, however, is the sudden and alarming escalation of violence, threatening to engulf the entire region in a conflagration neither side can truly afford. The human cost is already staggering, with countless lives disrupted and communities torn apart. The spectre of war looms large, casting a shadow over the hopes of millions. The recent barrage of Iranian ballistic missiles targeting Israeli military installations sent shockwaves through the international community. The precision and scale of these attacks have raised alarms worldwide, prompting urgent calls for de-escalation and restraint. While Iran claims the attack was retaliation for Israeli airstrikes on its assets in Syria, the scale and audacity of the missile launch suggest a more deliberate and provocative act. This is a bold statement from Tehran, signaling its willingness to escalate the conflict if necessary. This is not mere tit-for-tat, analysts warn, but a dangerous gamble by Tehran, testing Israel's resolve and risking a wider war. Military experts dissect the strategies at play, highlighting the potential for a broader regional conflict that could draw in multiple nations. Israel, for its part, has responded with its characteristic swiftness and precision. The Israeli Defense Forces are on high alert, ready to defend their nation against any threat. Fighter jets roar into the sky, their missions meticulously planned and executed. Israeli fighter jets, utilizing pinpoint targeting data, have struck back deep inside Iranian territory, hitting military facilities and infrastructure. The strikes are designed to cripple Iran's military capabilities and send a clear message of deterrence. The message from Jerusalem is unambiguous. Israel will not tolerate attacks on its sovereignty, and it possesses the firepower to inflict significant damage on those who dare challenge it. The world watches with bated breath, hoping for a resolution but fearing the worst. The stakes have never been higher, and the path forward remains uncertain.
The motivations behind Iran's missile attack remain a subject of intense debate. Some experts see it as a calculated act of retaliation, a response to perceived Israeli aggression against Iranian interests in Syria. Iran has long accused Israel of carrying out airstrikes against its forces and allied militias fighting alongside the Syrian regime. These strikes, Iran argues, are a violation of its sovereignty and a threat to its regional ambitions. Others, however, view Iran's actions as part of a broader strategy of escalation, a deliberate attempt to raise the stakes and assert its dominance in the region. By directly targeting Israeli territory, Tehran seeks to demonstrate its military capabilities and its willingness to confront Israel head-on. This more assertive posture, some argue, is driven by Iran's growing frustration with the status quo and its desire to reshape the regional order in its favor. Whatever the rationale, Iran's decision to launch ballistic missiles at Israel represents a significant escalation in the shadow war between the two countries. It has shattered the fragile peace that has held for years, raising the specter of a wider conflict with potentially catastrophic consequences for the entire region.
The current escalation cannot be understood in isolation, divorced from the complex web of alliances and proxy forces that define the Middle East's geopolitical landscape. This region has long been a battleground for influence, with various state and non-state actors vying for power and control. The intricate relationships and historical grievances add layers of complexity to any conflict that arises here. Iran, through its support of militant groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza, has long sought to exert influence and undermine Israeli security by proxy. This strategy allows Iran to project power and influence far beyond its borders, creating a network of allied groups that can act on its behalf. These alliances are not just military, but also ideological, rooted in shared goals and mutual interests. These groups, armed and funded by Tehran, provide Iran with a potent asymmetric capability, allowing it to strike at Israel without directly engaging its military. This indirect approach complicates Israel's defense strategies, as it must contend with multiple fronts and a variety of threats. The support includes not only weapons, but also training, intelligence, and financial resources, making these groups formidable adversaries. Hezbollah, in particular, plays a pivotal role in Iran's regional strategy. Established in the early 1980s, Hezbollah has grown from a small militia into a powerful political and military organization. Its influence extends beyond Lebanon, affecting regional dynamics and contributing to the broader conflict landscape. With its vast arsenal of rockets and missiles, Hezbollah poses a significant threat to Israel's northern border, acting as a deterrent against Israeli military action and a potent tool of Iranian influence. The group's ability to launch sustained attacks on Israeli territory forces Israel to maintain a constant state of readiness, diverting resources and attention from other potential threats. In recent days, Hezbollah has vowed to stand with Iran, raising fears that the group could be drawn into the conflict, opening up a second front against Israel and further widening the war. This potential escalation could have devastating consequences, not only for Israel and Lebanon, but for the entire region. The involvement of Hezbollah would likely draw in other actors, creating a domino effect of violence and instability. The involvement of these proxy groups adds another layer of complexity and danger to an already volatile situation. Each group has its own agenda and objectives, which may not always align perfectly with those of their sponsors. This can lead to unpredictable actions and unintended consequences, further complicating efforts to achieve peace and stability. Their actions, often unpredictable and difficult to control, can quickly escalate a conflict beyond the control of the primary actors, leading to unintended consequences and a wider regional conflagration. The risk of miscalculation or accidental escalation is ever present, making the situation highly precarious. As the conflict continues to evolve, the international community watches with bated breath, hoping for a resolution but preparing for the worst.
Section 4. The U.S. Arsenal, providing a shield for Israel. The United States, Israel's staunch ally, has watched the recent escalation with growing concern. The bond between the two nations is rooted in shared democratic values and strategic interests, making the stability of Israel a key priority for Washington. Washington has reaffirmed its unwavering commitment to Israel's security, pledging to provide its ally with the necessary military and diplomatic support to defend itself against Iranian aggression. This commitment is not just a matter of policy, but a reflection of the deep historical ties and mutual trust that have been built over decades. The US has long provided Israel with billions of dollars in military aid, including advanced weaponry and missile defense systems, bolstering its ability to deter and defeat its enemies. These systems, such as the Iron Dome and David's Sling, have been crucial in intercepting incoming threats and protecting civilian lives. The US Navy's presence in the region, including aircraft carrier strike groups and guided missile destroyers, serves as a visible reminder of American power projection capabilities and its commitment to regional stability. These naval assets are not only a show of strength, but also a strategic deterrent against potential adversaries. These forces, capable of conducting a wide range of military operations, provide a credible deterrent against further Iranian aggression and underscore the United States' resolve to protect its interests and its allies in the region. The continuous training and readiness of these forces ensure that they can respond swiftly and effectively to any threat. However, the United States is also acutely aware of the risks of getting drawn into a wider conflict, particularly one that could ignite a regional war with devastating consequences. The complexities of the Middle Eastern geopolitical landscape mean that any military engagement could have far-reaching implications. The Biden administration has urged restraint from all sides, emphasizing the need for a diplomatic solution to the crisis and a de-escalation of tensions. diplomatic efforts are being intensified to bring all parties to the negotiating table, aiming for a peaceful resolution that ensures long-term stability in the region. The administration believes that dialogue and negotiation are the best paths forward to prevent further escalation and to foster a climate of peace and cooperation.
Section 5. A fragile diplomacy. Can talks quell the flames? Amid the escalating violence and bellicose rhetoric, diplomatic channels remain open, offering a glimmer of hope in an otherwise bleak and uncertain landscape. European powers, along with Russia and China, have stepped up their diplomatic efforts, urging both sides to exercise restraint and return to the negotiating table. They recognize that the alternative, a full-blown regional war, is too catastrophic to contemplate. These diplomatic efforts face formidable obstacles. Trust between Iran and Israel, already at a nadir, has been further eroded by the recent violence. Both sides, emboldened by their respective allies and convinced of the righteousness of their cause, appear unwilling to make concessions. The United States, while supporting diplomatic efforts, has ruled out direct negotiations with Iran until it returns to compliance with the 2015 nuclear deal, a prospect that seems increasingly unlikely. Despite these challenges, the international community recognizes that diplomacy remains the only viable path to a lasting peace. The alternative, a protracted conflict that engulfs the entire region, is simply unthinkable, given the potential for catastrophic human suffering and global instability.